The next app that I'm building is a profitability tracker for indie hackers. So specifically, it's a tool that allows you to manage all of your income and expenses, but more specifically, it allows you to see how profitable an individual app is, as well as your company as a whole. So the way that I have my business set up is that I have a company, and that company houses all of my apps. So each app is in its own individual company. I have one company. But as I build these apps and as I launch them, I want to be able to look specifically at my business as a whole and say, hey, am I profitable? But I also want to dig a layer deeper than that and say, app by app, is this profitable? And so that's the core idea, and the app I'm calling it is Indie Buckets. So indie, obviously straightforward, this is for indie hackers, but the way I always talk with my business partner is buckets. So we have, money here, money there, and a lot of times it's really just buckets. Which bucket are we putting this in? So that's the meaning behind the name of Indie Buckets. The way that I've imagined this app is actually pretty simple. You have this concept of you have your company, you can add and create apps, and then of course you have these different transactions. And so when you add a transaction in Indie Buckets, you can assign it to a specific app if you want, or just at the company level. But you can also split a transaction and assign it to multiple apps. So an example here is hosting. So I use one host. I have one hosting transaction for all the backends of my different applications. So when I add that transaction into Indie Buckets, I want to be able to add that transaction once, but then I want to be able to split it equally across the apps that use that, so that way I can kind of divvy up this one transaction. So when I look at Hector, for instance, I may see that Hector has a hosting charge of $2.22, or however it ends up being broken down. But this way I can kind of get detailed, but also not have to get super crazy. And the main reason for this is I was using spreadsheets before, and spreadsheets are good, it gives you a lot of flexibility, but I was creating a separate spreadsheet for each individual app that I was using to try to do some forecasting and calculations. And now I have spreadsheets all over the place, and they're not all in one central location for me to grab. So Indie Buckets is going to solve that for me, and I think it's actually going to be really helpful for other indie hackers too. Now, this is something I've already started working on, so here's where I'm at so far. I started with a landing page, and I got that landing page up, and I've gone ahead and launched it, but I have no audience yet. So it launched to no one, it gets pretty much no traffic. But what I went ahead and did is made sure I get the core idea out there, get a newsletter sign up, or I guess it's not really a newsletter sign up, but give the ability for somebody to sign up for notifications. If they have interest in it, it just is an indicator to me, and then I have potentially someone to launch to. And in this case, it's literally one person has signed up, but that is what it is. This is gonna take time. I don't have an audience just yet. The pricing model for Indie Buckets is gonna end up being a one-time purchase for lifetime access. So after everything's said and done and we get past all the launch time discounts, it's gonna end up being $99 one time. I really like this idea. I think it lowers the barrier to entry here to help someone maybe make a purchasing decision. I do plan on having kind of two different types of discounts though. There will be a launch discount of $49, so I'll be able to market it as 50% off, hopefully make it more enticing and an easier, sure, I'll give this a shot sort of price. And as it stands right now, if you do enter your email and you say, hey, I'm interested, let me know when this launches, I do actually have the ability for a user to purchase it right now at an even steeper discount of $29. Recurring revenue is obviously the holy grail. It's what we want for stability, but I really do like this concept of one-time purchase, especially for an app like Indie Buckets, which is helpful, but it's not something you're going to be spending, hours in every day. It's something that you're going to probably touch maybe once a week, a couple times a month, something around those lines. And I think a one-time purchase makes a lot of sense here. So it was nice early to kind of take this idea, get a landing page up, and I decided to not do design at the beginning of this. I'm gonna kind of design as I go. In a previous video, I said I'm not a fan of design in the browser, but here we are. I wanted to make sure that I was making progress on this quickly. I'm really struggling with distraction and I wouldn't say motivation, but just building momentum to kind of keep building here. So I didn't want to start design and do all of that when that isn't my strong suit. And it's been working out well so far. Specifically, I'm using Shad CN with Next.js. And this has really been helpful to really grab these components off of the shelf and just kind of plug them in. And overall, I actually feel pretty good about the design. Again, this is a fairly straightforward app. We're doing transactional data, we're displaying that financial data, and the app management side of it is fairly straightforward too. So as I've been working on the app, I was able to flesh out the landing page a little bit more with some screenshots, and overall, I feel really good about how the design is shaping up for this. I'm at a point now where I'd say I'm probably about 50% done with the app overall. I have my users, my sign-in flow, I have the ability to manage all your different apps. I'm working on transactions right now, which obviously is the meat and potatoes of the application. So getting that kind of base functionality down with transactions, being able to create a transaction, assign it to an app, but then there's kind of a phase 2 there where we need to be able to split transactions, and that's gonna get really complicated. Specifically in the UI, I think I know how I want it to work, but I'm not 100% sure. So there's gonna be some effort in there to kind of flesh that out. One of the reasons that I decided to go with Shad CN2 is that they have these beautiful charts. So it's gonna be really easy for me to visually display this transaction data, both in kind of table line items, but then also visually in a chart, you'll be able to see certain time frames and your income versus expenses, so you can kind of get a quick visual look there. Once I have transactions done, really all that's left here is sign up. So I do want to put a little bit of effort into sign up, make sure that it's easy for a user to purchase, add their information, and get kind of the initial data into the app. And so onboarding here isn't going to be very complex, but I do want to kind of make that process really nice and easy, because when you're dealing with a financial app specifically, your starting point is 0. So everything is bare bones. These screenshots on the landing page are going to show this nice full data set to where, the graphs and everything are looking good. But when you first get in the app, it's going to be just bone dry when it comes to data. So I want to make sure that I'm kind of holding the user's hand a little bit to make it easy to say, hey, let's get this company set up, let's add your apps, and let's get you entering in transactions. So that way they can start to see the benefits immediately. So that's the progress update on Indie Buckets, both an introduction and a progress update. I wish I was farther along. Like I said, I've been struggling with focusing and building momentum here. So hopefully this month I can kind of get that ball rolling and make some good progress. I'm not terribly far off. Again, this is not a crazy complicated app here, although maybe those are famous last words, but the plan is to continue to show progress, continue to build out this feature, and then hopefully launch within the next month or so. Obviously, I will be posting updates here. Outside of wishing I was a little farther along and I had a little more consistency going in, I'm actually having a lot of fun building out this. I already have a couple ideas for next app, but I'm trying to kind of push those down so that way I can focus and see Indie Buckets over the finish line. I'll continue to share my progress as best as I can, and hopefully we will see this being launched in the next month or so.